Greetings to baristas. Christina Rad, aka the Zomgits, has put out a tag for us to explain our commitment to God-free living. Well, this may not be the kind of response sought because I'm motivated to a different tack of criticizing the secular and atheist YouTube community specifically over one issue. I entered Tube Land in the middle of the brouhaha over Islam and Pat Condell and Dra Muhammad Day. And I could not understand, and really still don't, why Islam has been specifically singled out for attack, when so much time is spent on deconstructing Islam through pointing out the silliness of the surahs or the hypocrisy of the hadith. But other religions are brushed aside with generic manifestos that God is an asshole, or is expressed through a general opposition to faith-based conservatism on gay marriage or abortion, and it's left at that. You can't blame Muslims for feeling especially targeted, and for the belief that underneath all the secular critique, it's really part of the same old culture war of West versus East, of colonialism and oil. If there's a reluctance of some to criticize Islam out of political correctness, I see as much reluctance to deconstruct other faiths because I think to do so would strike too close to home. We don't want battles with the Catholic Church or to get labeled anti-Semitic. But Islam is a nice, safe target everyone can feel free to bash with little real social cost. Why not make vlogs on Jesus being a wino? Why else would he take perfectly good H2O, not easy to come by in the Palestinian desert before modern irrigation, and turn it into home brew? And was Jesus gay? Why else would he live with his mother till he was 30, and when he left home to go live with 12 other guys in the desert? So much for Christian family values, especially being born out of wedlock. The whole basis for anti-gay, anti-abortion fundamentalism is shot straight to hell if you look at Jesus' real life, or what's revealed of it just in the 4 holy chapters. As for the Catholic Church in particular, this whole bit of celibacy had to have been conceived as a respectable front for medieval sodomy. Molesting little boys is as old a church tradition as kissing the Pope's ring of fire. And what's with turning wine and biscuits into Jesus' flesh and blood? Where's the denunciations of the Catholic Church's ritual cannibalism? Jesus stopped at wine. He didn't go on to freshly killed sentient beings for party favors. But, Azov, those Catholic schoolgirls at the altar showing those creamy hams under their checked skirts aren't really shedding blood. Of course, I know that. But those idol-worshipping papists are taught that it's real. They must believe that, or those luscious Lolitas of Christ cannot be communicants of the great whore of Babylon, I mean the Church of Rome. But don't you misogynist, witch-burning prods think you're getting off with the goddamn thing. The whole Protestant subfaith was literally born in shit. Martin Luther received his breakthrough vision only after years of spiritual constipation in his upper chamber. He prayed for a miracle, and the trumpet of the Lord did sound, and verily did divine bounty shower forth, proving the just shall live by faith in 3 sixes. Of course, when the lower orders, like the Anabaptists, farted in his church, Martin wasted no time telling the authorities to stab and slay as many of them as possible, because the Lord don't stand for no trickle-down faith. At the end of his life, Brother Martin penned one of Catholic Adolf Hitler's favorite books, The Jews and Their Lies. And yes, now it's time to start on them. Oy vey! To this day, they think they're chosen by the Lord. That alone is the best argument for atheism ever conceived. 5 to 6 million are shot and gassed and burned, and they still prayed the Pharisees' prayer, "Thank you, G/D, that you've made me one of the chosen people and not like other men. Throw a cute sheiks on the side every now and then, don't hurt nobody. Horny old Solomon wasn't the wise guy of Israel for nothing." Speaking of which, this is the only religion that turns a central deity into a real estate broker. A mortgage becomes a divine contract for the ages nobody can break. Sounds like Citibank or Morgan Stanley, come to think of it. Doesn't matter if you lost the friggin' title and got evicted, and the property was abandoned, and new folks moved in from the desert and tidied it up and planted their own citrus groves and let their goats pasture in the hills. God gave your great-grandpa a perpetual title, and so you have the right to push them all out and even demand that the USA, which supposedly stands for separation of church and state, help you reclaim your holy property values. Now let's go for the dotheads. The Hindus. Millions of people believing in blue goddesses with multiple arms and gods with elephant heads. It's one thing to be a vegetarian, but goddamn, there's nothing unholy about stock laws or righteous about stepping in freshly dropped shit, unless you're a Lutheran. Muslims may turn a divorced woman out on the street, but they don't burn her for her money. And if you think gays are modern untouchables, go to the Ganges to see some real hardcore caste oppression. If one of them even crosses your path or casts his shadow on you, you've got to ritually scrub down with saffron Brillo pads. But it's okay to do IT business with these holy folk or have them handle your credit card's customer service. And the Mormons. If any of you ever read the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price, Jesus Christ and criminy. Only a complete spastic retard would fall for that stuff. I mean, come on. The Indians of the Americas are the lost tribes of Israel. That's why the Incas made pyramids and matzo balls. And Jesus rose from the dead to come preach to them. Maybe that repressed memory is why they ran from Catholic missionaries trying to gang rape their little boys. And talk about epileptics telling whoppers. Joe Smith finds golden tablets in upstate New York, thanks to the angel Moroni, and from that gets the idea he can whore hop as many wives as Solomon because he's anointed with some sacred KY holy juice. Not even the prophet Mo came up with something that silly to stuff his tent. And people in the USA want to elect a guy with this faith-based heritage as their president. Now, compared to this mainstream respectable heritage of faith, are the Muslims really that much more retarded? But, Azov, none of those religions are now burning people or stoning them or physically repressing and mutilating women, except maybe for the Hindus, or sending jihadis to blow up stuff. Well, when was the last time you saw a Muslim blow up an abortion clinic? Thanks to the rise of secularism, these faiths have to be more discreet in their oppression. Nowadays it's a matter of brainwashing over torture, or law over the sword, banning books rather than burning people, but that doesn't make their rule necessarily pleasant. They're working peacefully, legally, to roll back the secular world, and then look out. Faggot will mean what it used to, a burning ember put at someone's feet before sending them up in holy smoke. True that Muslim women are oppressed at home, and true also that you personally know next to none of them. They're oppressed by many things at home besides religion, besides wearing trash bag clothing, besides husbands and fathers who can beat them with impunity. Like grinding poverty, the kind most of you have never seen. The average Muslim woman in Egypt or Iraq or Sudan or Pakistan is living in a squalid tenement hut filled with flies buzzing around in 104-degree Fahrenheit heat, wondering where her next meal is coming from, with a sick baby on her knee, suffering from trachoma or worms, with only a 50-50 chance of surviving infancy, with Civil War bombs made in the USA not far from her door. She's got a lot to worry about, but we can conveniently ignore those real material problems because, in part, we've helped cause them, and because criticizing Islam from afar makes us think we're doing something to help her out of her misery. A doctor or a cop who won't take bribes might go farther in helping her plight than yet another self-serving book by Ayaan Hirsi Ali that she can't even read or afford to buy. No, can knock upon the YouTube line. Hello? Who? Dr. Maulana Karanga, founder of Kwanzaa? You're relieved I didn't mention your faith? Well, why should I? It's all just made-up stuff. You even copyrighted it, for God's sake. I mean, you've never shot, slain, stabbed, stoned, burned, or gassed anyone for it. How can we know you're as real as the rest?